right, we're live with T's Weird Week. I'm T. Krulos.
I'm Heidi Erickson.
Hey Heidi, how's it going?
It's absolutely smashing, darling. How's it going with you?
Oh, good, good. I'm a little burnt out, but
Yeah,
it's been a long year.
yeah, it has been a long year, and you got Krampusnacht coming up, and that's a whole big serious thing that's happening.
It's a great event. I love putting it together. This year has just been extra challenging to do an event. Like everything's just off the wall, and a lot of people aren't ready to participate in events yet for various
Yeah,
reasons. So
yeah,
it just feels extra challenging this year, but it's coming together. It's just taken a little bit more work and a
yeah,
little bit more problem solving than in past years.
yeah.
But
That's fair.
yeah, if you're in the Milwaukee area, December 5th, Bavarian Beer House, you can go to MilwaukeeParacon.com. There's information on tickets and some of the stuff going on there.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Sometimes a little chaos is just the spicy paprika you need in an event to really make it something special. I found. I found that to be true. I have an event coming up too during the Witches Wonderland on the 27th of November, which is going to be super fun and good. The Milwaukee pagan community is going to be representing there, which I'm always delighted to have them. And we're going to have card readers and prognosticators and vendors of every shape and size. So that's going to be extra special and wonderful too. So yeah, there's a lot going on in our world on a microcosmic scale, a very small quantum level, but the world out there at large is also still pretty weird. If you're in any, like, I would think anywhere in the nation, but specifically if you're anywhere like in the Midwest, probably most people have been really carefully watching the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. And it's hard to look away from that to
Yeah.
what is happening in the rest of the world, because that by itself is so strange and unusual. No matter what side of the issue you fall on, you got to admit that's one heck of a weird spectacle that is occurring there. For heaven's sakes.
Yeah, even today, this was very unusual, but the judge allowed Kyle Rittenhouse to select the numbers because they have extra jurors, right? I believe there's 20 instead of 12, or maybe 18 instead of 12. So he let him, like, they had this like bingo ball type of device, and he got to reach in there and pull out the numbers of the jurors that would be excused from the trial.
Yeah, what the
I
hell
was
is
like,
that?
what the fuck? Is this I don't think this is a normal court procedure.
No, it's
Like,
weird that the judge is treating Kyle Rittenhouse like he's his little nephew or something. Like it's almost fawning. It's weird. It's just weird.
it's super weird because it's like, hey, guess what? You get to pick the numbers of the people that are going to be excused from deciding your fate.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, couldn't you have like the court secretary do that or something?
Or anyone who wasn't the
So
fucking defendant, like the murder defendant. Like, I don't know. It's an unpopular opinion, but the truth is I actually feel bad for Kyle Rittenhouse. He obviously was brought up in a situation where he believed it was okay to be walking around with a semi-automatic weapon at a riot. Um, so that's not good. I really feel more like his mother should probably be on trial there. And old Kyle should go to the deprogramming camp, wherever that might be. But no matter how you slice it, kids on trial for murder, like you can't do that. It's wild. It's super crazy. And like the judge said they couldn't refer to the people who got shot as victims.
right,
You
that
could only
was it seemed like day one, like the judge was stacking the deck against the defense
100%. And
or the
like,
prosecution, I mean.
yeah, and like nobody thinks that Kyle Rittenhouse is going to face any real penalties for what he did, and what he did was murder several people. Um, and I heard that they've already called out the National Guard into
Hmm.
Kenosha. They're camped out there in the event that
Yeah,
people
I've been
like.
following. So I wrote this article for Milwaukee Magazine about citizen journalists
I
And they are
remember.
the ones who captured. I mean, a lot of their footage was used as evidence in this trial
Right.
because they're the ones who were there capturing everything in the street. They were right in the thick of it. I mean,
Yeah.
Kyle Rittenhouse ran by a couple of them and they thought they might be dead because,
Yeah.
they might have shot at them for filming him. Um, and So they're all back. All these citizen journalists are all back in the streets of Kenosha right now because protests are already starting to gather. And of course, that verdict is going to be read. We don't know how long the jury will take to decide, but
Yeah.
certainly within the next day or a couple of days,
Yeah.
the verdict's going to be out. And, who knows what's going to happen? It could be
Yeah.
kind of an apocalyptic scene in Kenosha again.
Yeah. I don't know because like after this last, and it's really been 2 years after all the protests that happened and after COVID came through and all the stuff that happened in the last year and a half, like I don't know if people have it in them to like sustain the kind of long-term high energy protests that we saw a year ago. Like I don't know that they do, but they might. Like this is, I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. We're all of us here really in like southern Wisconsin are kind of like holding our breath and like what is going to happen next because you just don't know. You have no idea. And it's this pivotal thing and it's so weird that it has happened like 30 minutes away from where we live because that's where it happened. This fucking kid, like it's a lot. It's overwhelming. It's super overwhelming. And like watching it is just it's like watching a fiction. It's like watching something out of Orwell because the way this judge is treating this kid and like they essentially put the victims of this I'm sorry. We're not allowed to call them victims, I
Right.
guess.
You got to call them rioters or looters, even
Or
though
arsonists.
I don't think many of them were actually looting.
No, there was no evidence that any of them were looting or being an arsonist, which was the other thing that they were allowed to call them. There's no, those people never went on trial for that. So there's definitely no proof of that. But all of them had, in some fashion or another, some form of criminal record. Kyle Rittenhouse, of course, did not know that when he shot them.
Right. Yeah,
They were
I'm sick of seeing people be like, "Oh, he shot and killed a pedophile." Blah blah blah. Well, he didn't know he was a pedophile
no,
when he shot him.
he didn't
So
know. He didn't know that.
it's not
Also,
like
that
he was
guy.
heroically walking around shooting pedophiles.
No, exactly. That nope, that's not a thing. And it freaks me out because like I could have been at that like there was a moment in that day where I could have been in Kenosha. I planned on going to Kenosha to be there. And if I had seen some kid like walking past me with a semi-automatic weapon firing into the crowd and I had had the opportunity to reach out and grab that weapon and pull it away from him, I would have done so instinctively, not because I'm a super like heroic person, but because if you see a kid creating a dangerous situation, your instinctual response is to be like, no, bad, stop that kid. And that was his defense for shooting those people, was that they tried to wrestle his weapon away from him. And so he felt threatened. He was the one with the machine gun, but he felt threatened by these people, by this guy with a skateboard, AR-15, apparently skateboard wins. Now, and shot them. And it's just, that's wild to me. Like it could have been anybody who was there at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's definitely, that story has been on the back of my mind like for a week now. I've been watching some live stream of the trial. I'm tuning in to some of these citizen journalists that I got to talk to about the article. Like I said, they're back in Kenosha, BG on the Scene, CJ TV, and some other ones. So they're going to be kind of live streaming what's going on the street.
Yeah.
And so hopefully they got a whole lot of nothing going on, because it's just sad to think about more people getting hurt, possibly
Yeah.
dying in
Yeah.
Kenosha.
You know what? This never would have happened if Dr. Destruction was the mayor of Kenosha. I just want to point this out. Never would have happened. People would have been too busy perfecting their grease paint and training their pet bats for this to have happened. if Dr. Destruction was the mayor of Milwaukee. That's what you
Kenosha.
get. Kenosha, rather.
Yeah.
And
Dr.
Milwaukee, too.
Destruction, by the way, if you don't know what we're talking about, he's a horror host from Kenosha. He ran for mayor in the early 2000s in his horror host persona. I got some good news. Me and our friend Alicia are working on a short documentary about Dr. Destruction and the other horror hosts in the Kenosha area. I didn't even get a chance to tell her this yet, but I thought I would humor this idea and email the mayor's office of Kenosha and say, hey, we want to talk to you about your esteemed opponent, Dr. Destruction.
Yeah.
What do you say? And his like spokesperson was like, maybe we'll do it. So it's not confirmed yet, but it's a maybe.
I think that the best thing to do would be to have a political debate between the current mayor of Kenosha and Dr. Destruction on the pressing issues of the day, because I think, considering the current atmosphere, and remember, this is the mayor of Kenosha, where all of this shit is going down right now, and the mayor of Kenosha has said some very controversial things in the time since all of these things were going on and happening, right? Like, he's definitely chosen a side and come down firmly upon it. I have to say, I think Dr. Destruction would probably clean the floor with that guy. I'm just putting it out there. But I'm speaking as Dr. Destruction's future campaign manager. So I'm obviously biased. But yeah, I think that's what needs to happen. For sure.
Yeah,
I think he should run for mayor again during the next election cycle on the campaign of making Kenosha creepy again or whatever. I think it's a great idea.
That's good. Yeah. That's a good slogan. Make Kenosha creepy again.
Make Kenosha creepy.
Okay, so I wanted to share this story because I love this memory so much, and I forget that it happened for years, but then something reminds me. So someone posted a picture. I think it was my friend Crystal, who also lived in River West at this time. So in 2005, November 2005.
That's not a real year.
I was living in River West, which is a cool neighborhood here in Milwaukee. I was in my apartment, and all of a sudden, all the power goes out. Just like that. It's gone. I was like, oh, well, whatever, it's November. Maybe there's some wind, or a raccoon climbed into a transformer or whatever. It's happened before.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of standing there in the dark in my apartment, and it's up on the second floor. So I go over by the window to see, is everyone's lights out or what? And I look out the window, and there's all of these groups of people walking down the street. It was really weird. It was like, Village of the Damned or something. Like, all these people, groups of people. So I go downstairs, and like there's people walking by. I'm like, hey, what's the big hubbub here? Where's everyone going? And some guy is like, oh, a plane crashed. I was like, what? Where are you talking
in River
about?
West?
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm going to follow these people. So I start walking with this group of people, and we walk about 2 blocks away from my house over to Bremen Street, kind of close to where the Bremen Cafe is. And I was like, is he talking about like a 747? Like,
right,
crashed into Reservoir Hill or something? But no, they're like dangling from the power lines is this single engine airplane.
Oh no.
And it was just kind of like stuck on the wires and hovering like a few feet off the ground. And in the cockpit is a dude, and there's fire trucks there trying to, get to him in this airplane. Well, he was fine. He was a little bit drunk. And in fact, this was his 7th DUI, I guess, but most of his DUIs had been in a car. This was the first time he had gotten shit-faced and tried to fly an airplane
Wow.
and then crashed it into River West.
Okay, questions. I have
Yeah.
questions. The first question is, was this a person who had a plane and a pilot's license, or was this a person who just got shit-faced for the millionth time and like couldn't find his car, and so he took off in a plane? Because like that's a lot of DUIs. 7 is a lot of DUIs. Was he?
Here's something interesting about the story. He came from a rich family. Okay, he was wealthy.
We had a plane.
And
So
he was sort of one of those wealthy, like, I'm going to go on an adventure type of thing.
sure.
Interestingly, he has a brother. I need to look up this story because this was many years ago. But as I recall, this guy had a brother who was also sort of a rich adventurer guy, and he went to Alaska and just disappeared. No one ever saw him again.
Oh.
And his brother apparently likes to get really drunk and drive a car, fly an airplane that he owns the airplane, I guess.
Right, hovercraft, whatever, yeah. Pogo stick. Just get shit-faced and locomote. Okay, gotcha.
So, I mean, that's it. I was, when we're getting ready for the show, I tried to Google to see if I could find any of those articles. And so, did this guy learn his lesson? Well, here's a headline from 2009, 4 years later. Wisconsin pilot who crashed while drunk arrested again. It says that he was charged with operating while intoxicated, but it does not say if he was in a car or another airplane.
Oh, I hope it was like a forklift or something. I hope he's branching out and just trying to cover all of the vehicles he can possibly cover. Oh, that's intense. So his brother went to Alaska and just vanished. That's so crazy. And they don't know what happened to it. He just vanished. He's disappeared.
Yeah.
There's got to be a bigger story there. Did you see in Oshkosh this week, in High Cliff State Park, they discovered the remains of a guy they think is a dude who went missing in 1983.
1983. Wow.
Yeah, 1983. So they found this dude's body. The creepy part about, or not his body, I mean, it's been there for 40 years. It's like just his bones or whatever. The creepy part about it is that they found it in a part of the park. I don't know if you've ever been to High Cliff State Park. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a very beautiful place, but it sits right on Lake Winnebago. And the woods part is like on top of these cliffs. And then like the lake is down underneath these cliffs. So you can walk through all these cliffs and gullies, and people go rock climbing and things. And kids go there. The place where they found this guy's body was only like 10 feet off the main trail. So for 40 years, this guy's remains were just kicking it in a shallow gully 10 feet off of where people were walking with their kids and their dogs. I myself have walked that trail a dozen times, and the dude's body was like, could have spat on it right there.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that wild? It just goes to show you, like, you have no idea. It could be anything. Like, anywhere you are, anytime, like, there could be just dead folks, just any place, any old place, any old time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. But, like, if you're in Alaska, they'll never find you. His brother's in Alaska.
Well, maybe they'll find him in, a couple decades. They'll find a skeleton, like, holding a bottle of Jim Beam or something.
Right.
So I'm sure his brother was a drinker too.
Right.
But yeah, it was so surreal to see that. Like, the police had set up a police line, and there was just like probably a couple hundred River Westerners who had heard that this plane had crashed. Which, by the way, this was before I didn't have a cell phone in 2005. I had a desktop computer, but I checked my email like once a day at the most, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
So it was this kind of, it wasn't like everyone was texting each other or posting it on Facebook. It was just like everyone word of mouth had spread enough that everyone was gathering to see this drunk dude hanging in his airplane from the power lines. Very surreal.
Yeah, I think that's something that people like nowadays will never really understand is this feeling of when something strange like that happens, of feeling like you're on a completely different planet.
Yeah.
That idea that like no one's going to believe that this happened because now everyone will believe it happened. You have a camera in your pocket. You can tell people
Yeah.
in Abu Dhabi what's going on in River West like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, there'd be those
Yeah,
nasty.
I mean, I certainly didn't have a camera with a phone on it, so I'm glad that somebody got a picture of it. Which,
Yeah,
by the way, if you're listening to the podcast, I'll post the picture in the show notes just because
it's a
pretty
great
crazy.
photo.
Yeah.
It's a great photo. Also, did you say River Westerners? Is
Yes,
that
that's
is that
what you would call someone from River West. I'm pretty
that's
sure.
what you would call someone from
Oh
River
yeah,
West? Now I just now
River Westers. It's
every
River
time I go,
Westers or
I'm
Westerners.
it makes it sound like everybody in River West has a cowboy hat or whatever, and that's not real. It's not real. There are no cowboys in River West. Don't believe the hype.
I don't know if that's what it's officially. What about Bayview? Would that be a Bayviewian?
I think that no. I think I've heard people.
Bayviewers?
I think I've heard people say Bay viewers. I don't know. It's all just people who used to live on the east side anyway. So really, they're all just east siders.
See,
Let's not
bay
mess
viewer
around.
sounds like people are like, standing with binoculars looking at the bay.
Right? No, we don't do that. We look in each other's windows mostly. We're very nosy people. I don't know if you've ever spent any time on the Facebook page that is Bayview Town Hall. What a fucking
Oh,
cesspool.
oh,
The
every neighborhood group is, but yeah, that especially. Same with River West. It's
oh yeah, just the worst. The worst people in the neighborhood. It's just not where you want to live. It's not where you want to be. Bayview Town Hall actually made it to national news for being as horribly toxic as it was. I was almost proud of us. Almost proud of us. But no planes have ever crashed here. And there's a
no.
fucking airport right there. It's like we're not even trying. Sad. Super sad. Yeah. No, that's a real thing. What else is going on in the world? I heard that I heard all the toilets are jammed on the space station, and so now all of the astronauts are wearing diapers
On the International Space Station.
on
They're all jammed.
SpaceX. They're all jammed up. They're all
Damn.
wearing diapers. The French, God bless them, they referred to the situation as suboptimal.
Oh yeah, I saw that in the article that you shared with me.
Yeah,
Yes, that is definitely suboptimal.
I would say suboptimal is what that is. And it made me wonder what they were doing with the poo before. Where are they putting these diapers? I don't understand. Are they like disposable diapers? Or is there like an astronaut who's in charge of washing the dirty like how I couldn't just float around in space with like poop in my pants. I just couldn't do it. Of all the things that you have to do as an astronaut, G-force, math,
Yeah.
lots of things. I think I would call it quits at the poop in the butt. And there's nothing that these people can do about it. It's not like they can be like, I quit. They're like, well, that's fine, but you're still gonna have poop in your butt because there's no toilets in space. In space, no one can hear you flush. Nothing. There's nothing you could do about it. It's my favorite thing about this week is the poopy diaper astronauts.
Well, hopefully they can blast a plumber into space and see if they can fix the problem.
Yeah, I mean it does put it in perspective. Like no matter how bad your job is, at least your boss wasn't like the toilets are broken. Here's your diaper. It didn't happen, so that's good. Glad to hear it.
Here's Shane was talking about when we're talking about pre-internet days. He says bring back the town crier. I almost feel like when that plane crash happened, like that was kind of the situation. Like people were just
Right,
walking down the street and like yelling at their friend's house, being like, "Hey, come on, we gotta go check out this plane crash."
right. Yeah,
Uh, like I remember this is another fun River West memory. This was like 3 a.m. and I had like 4 or 5 roommates in River West, bunch of dudes. And one of our friends stopped by. He's like, "You guys all need to wake up right now because the condo buildings are on fire."
Oh.
So we're like, "What?" And we all walked up to Reservoir Hill in River West, and sure enough, like one of those condo buildings that they had just built was totally on fire. It was like a 5 alarm fire, you know. So we
Yeah.
just sat on the hill and like watched this condo building burn.
Well, what else are you gonna do? Like, that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember, like, if you wanted to know what weird shit was going on in the neighborhood, you had to go to whatever, like, the corner bar was. Remember?
yeah,
You know, talk to the bartender who was there every single day and be like, "Hey, George, the fuck's going on out there?" And he'd know all about it. He'd
yeah.
know all about it. That was it. It was your
Or
only choice.
or you know, if you weren't into bars, you could go to a cafe, like a cool cafe, and
Sure, there'd be a coffee shop where people knew what was going on, but yeah,
yeah,
there was no neighborhood Facebook page. You
yeah.
just had to know the right weirdos.
No,
Indeed.
I really do kind of miss that aspect of that era. Was a lot of days I'd be bored, so I'd just walk around the neighborhood, like stopping in places, looking for people I knew, you
Yeah.
know, looking for stuff to do.
Oh, also, if you don't know, because you're not from Milwaukee, River West is, I would argue, the weirdest neighborhood in Milwaukee. It's like, I don't know. It's like the Soho of Milwaukee. This is where all the artists and hippies and people are still kicking it, is River West. It used to be Bayview, and now Bayview is just retired cool people,
Yeah.
retired from being cool. That is. It's true. We all know
No.
it's true. Let's not gild the lily. Bayview is for people who used to be cool. And River West, like, I still think there's a whole lot that goes on River West that doesn't make it to the paper, if you know what I'm saying. Because
Oh yeah, yeah,
River West is like that. God bless them. I'm
yeah,
proud of them.
yeah. I remembered. I was walking by. I believe this guy was at Bob Elquist's house. I was just walking down the street, and out on Bob's porch, I'm pretty sure it was his porch, there was this dude like covered in tattoos. He had these huge gauged ears. He had like a boa constrictor around his neck, and he was playing a flute on the porch. And I was like, this is just such classic River West.
Peak River West.
It's exactly what you would see walking around River West.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because like uh, River West um, has never really succumbed to that thing that happens to like arty neighborhoods where weirdos live, where eventually it becomes like trendy, and then people come and buy up the buildings and then charge $1 million for rent and gentrify the hell out of everybody, and sooner or later it's just one big strip mall. River West has been River West for like 25 years and just shows no sign of being any less weird anytime soon. And I
Yeah.
think that's great.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we talked about the astronaut situation. Here's another story that was hot this week that also involves some bathroom situations. There's a singer of a band called Brass Against. They sound pretty cool, actually. Okay, it's a big, like they have a big brass section in this band, and they do covers of like, Rage Against the Machine, Tool.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's a pretty cool idea.
I see that band.
But this band was Brass Against was playing a show. Wait a minute, I gotta pull up this banner for this one. Wisconsin, Scotland, or Florida are classic banner of our favorite or most frequent three places that are weird. This story comes out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida,
There it is.
of course. The singer of Brass Against had to use the bathroom towards the end of their set, and so she asked if there was someone in the audience that would come up on stage so she could pee on them. And a guy did volunteer. He was kind of a big, burly, biker-looking dude. He got up on stage and lay down on the stage, and she pulled down her pants and peed on his face in front of everyone live.
Wow.
And that was the grand finale of the show.
It sure was. Okay, so what's the problem? He volunteered.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's not like she randomly dropped trow and was like, spot hitting dudes in the front row or anything.
It's
He's a,
people have a lot of mixed reactions to it. For example, here's the Mark Joe show says, "Oh my god, that guy enjoyed it. Gross, man. I saw that post."
I mean, don't kink shame. That's
Yeah.
what he was into.
Right, I was gonna
Don't-
say people, some people pay good money for something like that. So
right? Didn't Donald Trump famously pay a bunch of Russian like strippers to piss all over his bed or whatever and call me Obama and piss on my bed or some absolute nonsense like that? Like that's what people were into. It's not like she pooped on him. And even if she had, like, I guess like hundreds of Germans can't be wrong. I mean, they actually can be wrong. It turns out Germans are really good at being wrong. But
yeah.
the point is, don't kink shame. He was in, like, it was consensual. I mean, I guess I'm not super into bodily fluids or whatever, but like urine is 100% sterile when it leaves the human body, so long as the person who's doing the urinating does not have any sort of illness. People used to clean wounds with urine. It's perfectly clean, if a little smelly, but that's between her and big biker dude.
Yeah, I mean, her band doesn't seem thrilled because I don't think they were expecting it. So
Well, nobody expects that out of a brass band. This is not a death metal band. You're talking about trumpets and shit. That's not
right.
You can't pee anywhere near trumpets. They will rust. That's science, I think.
You got your trumpets, your French horns, tuba,
Right.
trombone.
Trombone. That's going to be great for that. Then they can make the sound. Wah, wah, wah. I mean, that's great. I love it. Okay. Well, I support her, and I support the big biker dude she peed on, and everybody else. Like, whatever. Calm down.
And the band, I would say, one thing is they got a lot of free publicity out of that because,
right?
I had not heard of Brass Against before.
Never.
Now
And
I know
here we
who they
are.
Right.
Here we are talking about them. I guarantee you their Google results are probably higher than they've ever been. And to be honest, I'm like, that's pretty cool. I would probably check that out. To be fair, she should have maybe checked with the rest of her band first.
Yeah.
Because now they're the P girl band.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get, though, she probably had to go really, really bad. And sometimes if you have to pee really bad, like, you ain't thinking straight.
Right.
So I think she was just like, this is going to happen right now because I'm about to piss my pants anyway.
Right. So, might as well capitalize on the situation.
Yeah.
If you think about it that way, she's just hustling. She's just,
yeah,
a squirrel trying to get a nut. Or I don't know.
Marking her ground there.
She's like, I'm going to incorporate this into the show. If I had to pee super duper bad, my first thought would not be, how can I brand this? I'm saying respect. I think she did a great job.
Yeah.
That's it. The end. T, you promised me poison sharks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, first, let's share this. Shane says, George Carlin said it best. I'm paraphrasing here. I'm glad my fantasies are normal. I can't imagine if the only thing that got me off was a leather-clad midget shitting on my chest.
Right? That's so much work. Oh, that's so funny.
And Mark Joe says, it got them noticed. Yeah, exactly. They did get noticed.
Right. Ooh, speaking of midgets shitting on people's chests, that's a good lead-in. You guys, this is not nearly as exciting as that sentence sounded. Did you see that they were remaking Willow, or that movie Willow, like 1,000,000 years ago?
It's not a remake, I guess. It's like a sequel. The actor,
oh, okay.
Yeah, the actor
Warwick Davis. Yeah,
he's the star of this.
Yeah,
and I think it's like a continuation of like a story that happens to Willow 30 years later in his life or whatever.
Dude, that's so great. I'm so glad that they're doing that. They remade so many awful things, and Willow was so good.
Yeah.
And like they're redoing it. I think that's beautiful. And it's super beautiful. Also, I like, I don't know if you know this, but have a huge crush on Peter Dinklage. That's a real life thing. It's not really a
Mhm.
problem, but it is a real life situation. And I just really want to believe that there's any sort of opportunity for him to be present in a movie as an all-powerful wizard, which is what he should have been in Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
And he didn't get to be an all-powerful wizard. I really thought he was going to get to ride a dragon by the end of that show. And when
Yeah.
the last season happened, and it was the worst thing ever, like, I feel like they gave that season to the chick who wrote Twilight and just walked away. Just
Oh yeah, yeah.
really disappointing. So what I'm hoping is that Peter Dinklage will show up in that show as an all-powerful necromancer, because it would be good for me as a person. That was a super aside. You said midgets shitting on people's chests, and that's where I went with it.
Here's Ray is asking if Val Kilmer will
I
be
don't know.
back. Probably not shirtless. What was his character's name? Mad Morganson.
Mardigan.
Morning.
Mardigan.
Oh,
Mardigan.
Mad Morgan. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Matt
Yeah, I
Mardigan.
don't. There's something up with Val Kilmer, isn't there? Like I saw there's like a documentary about him or something, but he hasn't
Really?
been acting very much like in the last.
No.
I think there's a reason for that. Like he might have some
Oh.
mental health problem or something. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
it's possible. I've not heard anything about Val Kilmer. I don't know. I watched there's like I forget what channel that's coming on. I want to say Disney Plus because why not? But
Yeah.
they have a little trailer there where Warwick Davis is walking around talking to the cast, and it's a big joke about how none of the people in the new movie ever saw the first movie. They didn't know it even existed. And it was really cute and adorable, but there was no mention of Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
So maybe not. Don't
Yeah.
really know.
Yeah.
Probably not. Anyway, that's a thing. Thanks for following my squirrel with me, you guys.
So yeah, you're mentioning. I'm gonna need to Google this again really quick, but there's in the Thames River in London, there are venomous sharks. Here's an interesting thing about these venomous sharks.
Poisonous or venomous? Like they can bite you and they have poison?
This article is saying venomous.
Okay.
So, yeah, it says the bad news is among the dozens of species now living among the waters in London are venomous sharks, and but here's the thing: they look really cute, actually. They're small and they have big eyes. They kind of look like
That's how they get you, T.
They kind of look like a Pokemon or something.
No. No, dude, that's how they get you. Okay. I mean, I don't really think anybody's in danger because it's not like anybody is swimming in the Thames.
I would hope not.
That, like, talk about a cesspool. That it's disgusting. It's just sludge. But I'm asking, like, do they have like a tail with a sting on it, or
Yes.
like vampire like teeth? Are they part spider sharks? Tell me it's spider sharks teeth.
Okay, here's the information I was looking for. It says commonly known as spur dogs or spiny dogfish, the sharks are named after the venomous spines found in front of their dorsal fins used on predators. They can curl in a bow and strike at predators, according to the Wildlife Trusts.
What?
So it sounds like it's maybe more of a defensive thing. You know, if something's going to try to take a bite out of one of these spur dogs, I love that name.
Yeah, band name, great band name.
Then they're gonna get they're gonna bite into their venomous spine.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder what that's like. Like, platypus are venomous, right? Like the animal, the platypus.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
What you think is wild because a platypus looks like a duck beaver, and it makes no sense already. And then apparently on its back legs, platypi have like these spikes, and not only are they venomous, but allegedly platypus venom is like the worst shit. Like, you don't want anything to do with that. You would rather have a root canal done by an old, blind, epileptic man on roller skates in the middle of an earthquake than ever get stung by a platypus. But that too is defensive. They don't hunt with their
Right.
venom or whatever. So I wonder what it's like to get stung by a horny dogfish.
Horny dogfish. I'm not sure that's a scientific term for it.
No, River West. If there could be River Westerners, and that's a fucking horny dogfish. I don't care. We're just making up words over here. It's fine.
Yeah, platypus will put you in a world of hurt.
That's what I heard. I heard like it's really the worst. Like it's awful, and I can't imagine being like on the ground incapacitated. Like allegedly, like you like poop yourself. It's like astronaut time. You because you got poop in your pants and like curled over, crying, Meryl Streep, miserable. And I can't imagine being that fucked up and then people being like, "What happened? What happened to you? What went wrong?" And like you point and they're expecting to see like a cobra, and instead it's like it's cute little adorable little platypus just over in the corner. Like, who, me? Like that'd be the worst. They'd be like beaten to death by one of those squishmallows. You'd be like, really? That's sad. That's just sad. It's just sad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Horny dogfish.
The horny dogfish of London, England.
Of the London horny dogfish. All right. What else? What do we got?
Here's a story that I'm happy about. You know, I make a lot of jokes about stupid conspiracy theorists a lot, you know, because it's a topic I follow. But this week, Alex fucking Jones, as he's known, the proprietor of InfoWars, like
gay frogs, all that.
Yeah, the hammer finally came down on him.
Oh, good.
There was several families that sued him because he said that their children, in fact, did not die at the Sandy Hook shooting, which was terrible. There was 20 people that died, most of them kids or their teachers. And he said that they never existed and that the parents that you would see on TV, on the news and stuff like that were just crisis actors. And the judge in Connecticut, there's several cases. There's many cases where people are suing him. Not just with Sandy Hook either. He's made life miserable for quite a few people. But the judge in this case in Connecticut, which is where the Sandy Hook shooting took place, has found him that he is liable. And now the jury is going to decide just how much money that they're going to fine him. And I hope it's a lot of money. I mean, you could sue him for all the money in the world and it still wouldn't be enough, you know?
I think that like at a certain point, you sue people, rich people, and you're like, I'm going to sue you for $1 million. And they're like, meh, here's your $1 million. Although I've heard Alex Jones is broke as a joke these days. Alex Jones is like eating government cheese someplace. Like he does not, he's broke.
Well, there's so many people suing him that even just his legal costs have got to be astronomical because, you know, he has to hire lawyers for all of this shit.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, fucking call Jeff Bezos and have him haul his ass to the moon. Drop you off in orbit, Alex Jones. You're serving nobody at all. Gay frogs and fucking boner pills. What a jerk. Get out of here. Like, what have you... Even if I found out he had a lovely singing voice, I'd be like, whatever, fucking Alex Jones, just get lost.
So I think that was a good... I mean, I think I was really negative about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial.
Right.
But it felt a little bit better when I saw that Alex Jones and Steve Bannon, by the way.
Oh, really?
He got hauled in front of Congress for...
That moldy square of rotten spam. Does that guy just look like a processed meat product that just got left in the back of a fridge too long? Jesus Christ.
He looks even worse than I remember. I saw him after he had made his court appearance, he was super angry, of course, and he was being kind of threatening, like he was like, everyone's going to be standing by, and I'm not going down without a fight. And I'm like, he wants to have his own like Capitol insurrection or something, I'm sure.
Right.
But they hauled him in because he was in contempt because he didn't answer a subpoena. He was subpoenaed to go to court and he didn't show up. So he's possibly going to get some jail time or a fine for that.
I hope so. I hope he does. Like, I'm not a big fan of the carceral system here in the United States of America because it's got its problems. But
yeah,
man, oh man, you do see somebody like that, and you're just like, I hope they just leave you in the shower. Just put it, like, stay there forever. God damn, horrible. I know a bunch of the people who were part of the insurrection, like, have like gotten their court cases and like what is that guy? What do they call him?
The QAnon shaman. Yeah. Yes. The QAnon shaman was a ridiculous dude wearing the buffalo headdress and the face paint.
Yeah, dances with lizards. Yeah, I know that guy.
He got sentenced, I believe, somewhere between like 40 and 50 months in prison.
Right.
There was this famous really white woman from Texas who flew up there, and she had said something like, I got the right to be here and I'm not going to jail because I'm white. Well, she's going to jail. So
yeah, prison. Definitely going to prison.
Right.
But she's only going for 60 days, but like she's still going to prison. It's going to be an eye-opening experience for her, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's something, I guess. But Jesus Lord.
It's something. It's like, all right, I'm glad to see that some people at least are facing some consequences for their absolutely terrible behavior, and that they're just not completely getting away with it, even though like Mark Joe said, it should have been 40 to 50 years for the QAnon shaman. I mean, I think it should have been longer than the sentence he got. But
yeah, I'm not an advocate of capital punishment, but I'm pretty sure that was treason.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you stormed the Capitol building and were, let us not forget or pretend this didn't happen, actively looking for certain politicians in the effort and desire to do them harm, because that's real. Like, I can't get over the fact that people didn't talk as much as they should have talked about the fact that the panic buttons in certain senators' offices had been ripped off of the walls so that when those people ran to their office to hide from the goddamn pitchfork waving mob armed with weapons that was inside of the Capitol building, and they went to press the button for security, there was no button. It was gone. Just wires in the wall. Like,
the crowd outside of the Capitol, they had constructed a hangman's gallows with a noose, and they were not even as Ray was saying, this wasn't just, they weren't just after like Nancy Pelosi and AOC and Joe Biden or whatever. They were mad
vice president of the United States.
They were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," because he wouldn't like overthrow the Congress and say that Trump was still president.
Yeah.
And it's like,
there was a time not so long ago, those people would have all been called enemies of the state, and absolutely, like, capital punishment is what would have happened to those people. And again, I'm not advocating for that. I'm really not. But let's be real. If those weren't the kind of people that they were, they'd have been fucking Guantanamo Bay'd like that as terrorists. And they weren't. So 40 months in jail. And then he complained about, like, they didn't have his vegan food. Remember that shit? Like, prison is not working out for me because I have dietary restrictions. I was like, shut the fuck up. Like,
because he's a shaman, right?
Because he's a shaman and he can't.
QAnon shaman.
Dances with lizards. That's him.
Oh man,
that fucking guy.
Yep.
That's all we got. You guys, this year has been fucking exhausting, I must say.
Yeah,
it's been a lot. We're all getting there. We're all doing whatever. We're almost at the end of our season here too, aren't we?
Yes.
We're getting close, yeah.
We're going to do one more regular episode next week, and then we're going to put together a Krampus special.
Yay! It'll be just like the Charlie Brown special, you guys.
Yeah.
Except the kids will be screaming because they'll be in a sack. It's going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then we'll take a little bit of a break, but we'll be back in 2022 with some new stuff, some new adventures that we can come up with.
Yeah, we'll have some adventures. Yeah, for
sure.
Yeah,
we've talked about a lot of stuff that would be fun to do that we haven't gotten around to doing yet, just because life is super busy. So
yeah, plus COVID, like we couldn't do a lot of things because COVID. So
yeah,
but now we can because COVID's totally over, you guys.
It's only over if you take some ivermectin and and drink some bleach.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not doing that to you.
Or you could just get a vaccine.
Yeah, but you can't make people take the vaccine. You can con them into taking horse dewormer, but you can't force them to take the vaccine. Because that makes total sense. All right,
okay. Yay. Well, we'll end it there. Go get vaccinated, everyone. Get your booster shot. And hopefully things will be back to normal in a few years from now. Who knows? Right. Okay, we'll see you all next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, everybody.